Good to go? Okay, welcome to today's toolbox, everyone. Today we're going to be covering off on injury reporting and fitness for work. Just before we get started though, if we do have to evacuate or we hear the emergency evacuation signs, just need to move out to the nearest muster point, which for us here is the car park at the top of the building. Please make sure all your mobile phones are on silent, and our break time will be in half an hour down at the tavern where we'll get a barbecue cooked by Sue and Kristen. So today's objectives, so we're going to start off with our safety shares, so what we've got from the different departments. We're going to go through the incident reviews, so both at this site and at the other sites across the portfolio. We're going to go through some info on incident reporting, as well as fitness to work requirements, and then we'll finish off with a message received. So to get things started, any safety shares across the site, what have we seen this week? Positives? Any hazards?
The wind out there today.
Yeah, you're not the first person that's commented on the wind today. Yep. So quite windy. So what does that mean for us?
Just be careful with the doors.
Yep, be really careful with the doors. What tends to happen is the doors do get sort of flung out in the wind. Just let them go if that happens. We don't want you to do any shoulders or anything like that. Also with the dust, so making sure we're wearing our safety glasses and putting any other controls in place that we can perceive. Yep, good one. Any other safety shares out there?
Hydration testing that I did was pretty good, so most people were in the normal range. There were a few people that were in slightly to moderately dehydrated, and there was a extreme dehydration one, so that just got stood down and started work again once it was clear. So
Yep, so that all went really well.
yeah.
Yeah, we've also had some feedback from Dave about the other testing that was done, and that's been handed out to the relevant people as well. So some of the departments had dust monitoring, noise monitoring, and I think asbestos monitoring, was that the other one? So from what I've seen, good feedback on those as well, which is really positive to see. Also positive that the areas that were identified as being high noise, the person was wearing ear protection, so that's really positive to see as well. With the hydration testing, we have also got the strips in the office, so you can test yourselves when you've got like as well. Not quite as accurate as what Jodie was doing, but it does give you some indication of your hydration levels. You may also have seen the posters on the back of the public doors as well, so just a reminder, monitor your urine, keep your fluids up. We did have a hazard card submitted today as well about the fuel bay, just making sure if we do use it, we retract the hose and it doesn't sort of lay along the ground, becoming a trip hazard. So just make sure it does get retracted when we finish using it. So that was submitted by one of our cleaners. Any other safety shares or hazards out there?
Just the ongoing heat.
Ongoing heat, yep. So coming into summer, it's just going to get hotter and hotter. Yesterday I think was the first day in a while it's tipped 40. That'll just keep happening now. So yeah, hydration, monitoring that, keeping the fluids up. Starting from first thing in the morning as well is really important, because you've just slept, you haven't taken in any fluids, you're then starting your work day. And it's hot from first thing in the morning.
We had someone get head stroke last week, I think.
Yep.
And it comes through with their attitude. They got really quite angry.
Yep. And that's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one as well. Monitor our teammates. You may be busy yourself and rushing and want to get your job done without even sort of realising. So if you notice your teammates acting a bit funny or a bit aggressive when they're not normally aggressive, just make sure we have that welfare for each other as well. And first signs, we've gone through this all the time. What's the first signs we're starting to get dehydrated? Thirsty. Yeah, if we're thirsty, that means we're in some form dehydrated, whether mildly, leading on to being more severe. Any other safety shares before we move on?
Well, the wasps and the bees are out.
Yep.
So we're not taking shortcuts through the bushes to playing.
Yep, so
Playing
being aware of
games
that.
with them.
I have seen a few around. If you do see the wasps' nest, please report them through. We'll get the grounds crew to come and deal with it. Easy to tackle when they're smaller though, before they get big. So do just report those through.
A lot of bees on the lawns.
Yep. So, and if you are allergic as well, making sure that you've got all those medications that you do need. Okay, moving on to incident review. So we did have one for this week, first aid case midweek. IP was walking on Blue Metal Pathway, which you can see in the bottom photo there, outside the warehouse building at the mine site. Whilst they were walking around the corner, left ankle rolled outwards, resulting in minor discomfort to inner ankle area. Reviewed by EMO and physio, returned to full duties. So Terry actually did the investigation for this one, but she's gone out to the site there with the IP, looked at the surface. I mean, you can have a look, even though it is gravel, it is quite smooth. I think it is even a designated pathway. I'm not sure where that area is exactly, but that's actually a designated pathway. So that was all fine. Boots were new, boots were done up correctly, so it's kind of hard to put in any controls for something like this. It's just a case of sharing, I guess, with the team, slips, trips and falls, are we assessing our work area, all of that sort of thing.
And the pleasing one with this one is probably one of those ones that you could have just pushed off to the side and didn't do anything, but this person here did the right thing and reported it, so that's a real pleasing thing.
Absolutely, and like this person did go back straight to full duty straight away, but it's been assessed. Okay, we've had the physio look at it, and it hasn't been that serious. But that reporting allows us to do that, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. Okay, across the portfolio out at Cape Lambert, first aid case, IP was filling bucket with chemical when the chemical splashed into right eye. IP had slight irritation to eye, flushed eye, and attended by on-site medic. Returned to full duties. What procedures might they not have been following?
Not wearing glasses.
Not wearing glasses, PPE, what else?
Face shields, probably. Face shields, you're using chemicals.
Face shields, yep. Adding chemical to water, yep. So if you're adding the chemical straight to the bucket, what's going to happen? It's going to splash straight back. So if we add the water first, if the water splashes back, that's water. We then add the chemical to the water. So that's part of all our regular procedures on site. So just a reminder to ourselves, always add the chemical to the water. Okay, in a Jundee, non-work related, IP felt tightness in lower back, extending down to back of the knees. IP finished their shift and did not report any discomfort. The next day, IP was taken to EMO where Voltaren cream was given. Again, comes back to what Bill was saying, reporting. They then slept on that, and they've then reported it the next day. Okay, so really important that we report these things when they happen, get the proper treatment, get them looked at by the right people. Okay, so they could have been getting it iced, heat therapy, medicine, whatever it might be, but instead they haven't reported it and have gone to sleep the next day. So again, what we're going to be focusing on today. Okay, Brockman 4, first aid case. IP was working, standing at the B4 admin desk. IP turned left and felt a sharp pain and heard a pop from right knee. Ice applied. So with this one, I guess body positioning maybe. Someone working in admin, you don't really think of them as the ones getting injured. Just goes to show it can happen and why it's so important for all of us to do our stretches and to make sure we're following our manual handling, all of that sort of thing. Okay, so moving on from incidents, this is a different incident, one of our red banners, but this is a working at heights breach at the North Rom bin at Hope Downs. So during night shift, a maintainer was identified as working at heights at the North Rom bin without adequate controls in place. A contract maintainer was acting as fire watch for repair, work being conducted on the bin liners. During this task, the maintainer decided to access the haul truck bump stop to feed a hose line over the edge to the team on the scaffold deck, approximately 9 metres below. The maintainer accessed and stood leaning over the edge of the bump stop without fall protection. Now this incident isn't going to be applicable for a lot of us, we're never going to be in that situation, but have they done a risk assessment before doing that task? Have they done a hazard identification to say, that's heights, we need to put the controls in place? They're the sorts of things that do apply to us. So making sure before we do a task, we stop and think about it. Have we done our Tape 5? Do we need a risk assessment? Do we need to do a JHA for it? So they're all the questions we should be asking ourselves. Okay, incident reporting. So this is our main topic for today. This is the qualification you guys will get at the end of the session. So what is an incident to start with? Basically any event that causes or could have caused an injury, illness or damage to personnel, plant or equipment, vehicles, property and material, and or the environment. Based on that, what are some examples of incidents we might see on site we've been through for today? Yep, slips, trips and falls, so leading to, say, personal injury. What other incidents might we see on site? Yep, so again, leading to personal injury. Spills. I think someone said spills and someone said chemicals. They work together, so that's a good one. Yep, so chemical, and that could also then be, if it gets down the drain, an environmental incident as well. Yep. There's a few we're missing.
Vehicle damage.
Vehicle, yep.
Property damage?
And closely tied to vehicle is property damage. Yep, so different types of damage. You're missing a few still.
Equipment failure.
Equipment failure, yep, which then could lead to a whole number of other things.
Food safety?
Food safety, good one. It wasn't actually one I was thinking, but yep. There's one that
property damage?
Yep, property damage is one that you sort of haven't tied on, that isn't technically an incident, but it
Being
is.
sick.
Yep, so non-work related. Yep, that's a good one, I was thinking of that one. As soon as I say it, you'll know. So it's something that's got the potential to cause an injury, but doesn't actually happen.
Near miss.
Near misses, so also classed as an incident. So I think you got most of those. Theft or criminal act is one that we didn't get. Does happen, not very often, but it does happen. Also stock loss through refrigeration breakdown, but again, that could come to equipment. Okay, so near miss we did kind of talk about, but it's basically those situations that could have resulted in the injury, illness or damage. These are sometimes entered as hazards as well, so it might be that something might have happened and it's a hazard then that needs to be raised. Really important that we do report these near misses and any unsafe conditions, so then we can act on them, okay, and put controls in place. We need to then look at the systems of work that we use and are we using the best systems. We then need to, for each of these incidents, make sure an investigation takes place. So that allows us to work out what happened, how it happened and why it happened, and then put those controls in place to stop it from happening again. When we do these investigations, and some of you have been through them, it's not about blaming someone, it's about finding out the why, okay, the why. Why did it happen and how can we stop it from happening to the next person? So with incidents and with the investigations, they all must have at least one corrective action, okay? Some of them it's going to be as simple as review incident with all teams, okay? It's tough to come up with something for all of them. It's all based on the root cause. So if we look at the root cause of the slip or the trip from earlier, what was the root cause? Kind of hard to determine with that one. It could just be human movement, something like that. Because it's a tough root cause, it's hard to then come up with the controls. And that's when you get controls like share with all teams and that sort of thing. Anyone not heard of the hierarchy of controls before? I expect it to be some of you. All heard of it before? Yeah, good stuff. Okay, so basically what that means is that we want to work down from the top, try and put the controls in from the top. So number one, eliminate. So say we've got a really uneven floor, okay, split levels. Can we eliminate that? Can we just get rid of the floor, get rid of the area altogether? Generally not applicable, okay? So elimination is a real tough one because generally it's the tasks that we need to do, we can't just get rid of those. Substitution, so I've got really sort of uneven floor, can I substitute out that? So what do we think? Probably not most times. Expensive, probably could happen, but it's going to be expensive. And that's something you've got to take into account as well. Engineering controls, so that might be putting on anti-slip pads or mats in there, so that could be an engineering control. Admin controls. Signs, caution, slippery floor, procedures, sharing, yeah, anything sort of paper-based is our admin controls. And finally, PPE. So with this example, uneven floor, what are we going to apply?
Boots. Non-slip.
Yeah, non-slip boots. Perfect. Okay, so non-work related incidents was also mentioned as well. So with non-work related, any musculoskeletal incidents do require a clearance from a doctor before returning to work. Okay, so whether you're on site or at home, if you have a non-work related incident that affects your body, your musculoskeletal system, you will need a clearance before you do come back. The reason for that is we just want to make sure that you're fully fit for work. We're not going to make you any worse while you are at work. So yeah, you've got to present fully fit for work. If you're not sure, if something happens on R&R, best bet is just to call site, okay? Call site, look, this has happened, what do I do? We might say, yep, no worries, that's fine, up you come, or it might be, yep, we need that clearance from you. If at all you're unsure if something has happened on your R&R, always please give us a call first. Okay, so that then leads on to fitness for work, or FFW, a few of you were talking about earlier. So all employees must present themselves in a state that does not prevent them carrying out work safely. So when we sign on to our morning pre-starts and our breatho, that's us saying we are fully fit for work. Employees are to ensure activities outside their work hours do not inhibit their ability to carry out their work. So are we getting too sore from the gym and that's affecting us in our work? Are we staying up too late and we're fatigued, making us not fit for work? These are all the things we need to consider when we are up here. Daily breath testing will be conducted on all employees prior to commencement of all shifts, and random drug and alcohol testing will be conducted by the client. So they're done down on site. So with the random AODs, that is conducted at the mine site, needs to occur within 1 hour of commencement of shift or being notified by the supervisor. Reason that last little bit's down there is those 4 o'clock starters. Yeah, we're not going to be getting you down there between 4 and 5. Unfortunately, we don't get that much notice. So yeah, within 1 hour of commencement. So if you're called up for an AOD, oh, but I'm busy, I'm busy, can I go in an hour? There's a reason for it, and it's the procedures down at site. Need to take ID and make sure you know your SAT number. Now, taking the ID is a new one. We do have copies of everyone's driver's licences at the office here, so we can print that out for you if it's down in the back of that block. That's no worries. And we just need to make sure you know your SAT number. If you're not sure, speak to admin. And lastly, we have spoken about this one a lot this week, but we need to make sure we fill out these medication declaration forms. Speak to your supervisor to get these. Your supervisor does just need to sign off on them, and that's basically to make sure that whatever you've taken isn't going to affect your work, okay? So surprising the amount of things that show up positive on a drug test that are legal, sort of everyday kind of things. If you're not sure, come and see us. We fill these out. It goes on your file once it's been signed off by your supervisor, and then no one else needs to see it, needs to know about it. It's filed away. So if you take medication on your R&R, come straight in and see us, fill one of those out. Okay, any questions on incident reporting or fitness for work? All over it? So I'm just going to go through the message received. So just take one and pass it on. So this is just to make sure we've identified the learnings there, that we know what's being presented.
You had 6 years?
Yes.
That's right, they come.
Okay, so I'll give you a minute to fill it out and then we'll go through it as a group. I reckon you guys will be able to do this whole one on your own. Without cheating.
I was checking to make sure that the relief guy was keeping up with everybody else.
You're very considerate.
Yeah. I don't feel like he's...
Okay, we'll go through it. So the first one, I understand that under my employment agreement with ESS, while working on a Rio Tinto site, I have an obligation to report all incidents to my supervisor immediately. This includes hazards, near misses, any property equipment damage or any non-standard events to ensure a safe workplace. This allows us to conduct a thorough investigation and assign corrective actions.
Yeah, go boss.
To prevent, or controls is, yeah, the controls works as well, but it doesn't fit. Controls appropriately. And assign controls appropriately. Yeah, that'll be that. I must inform my supervisor if I'm unfit for work or taking any prescribed or non-prescribed medication. Okay, we can just collect those up. Just go through some general business. Okay, so you would have got the memo this morning. That was basically the official release of the new safety reps. first meeting will be next Wednesday the 2nd. Not everyone will be on site, but we'll just have to rotate it so we capture everyone. We're just going to go through safety and health rep duties and expectations, some monthly inspection reviews, and go through a fact sheet about what's required with that one. So we'll be in touch with the safety reps, but first meeting is next Wednesday the 2nd. Just finally, make sure you've got all your timesheets filled in. Did you want to say anything, Phil?
Who you go first?
No, I'm fine.
Phil's fine.
Hands up if you're here for Christmas. Leave your hand up if you want to be in Secret Santa. Yay! All 5 of us.
It'll be next week's swing.
Okay.
Alright, yeah, any other comments or questions from anyone before we go? No? Okay, lunch is in the tavern. If they're not quite ready yet, just sit down nicely. Be behaved. That was a message from Sean.